Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to be ranking Doctor Who, currently going through my list, ranking the seasons/series of Doctor Who from worst to best, and I believe we are on number 38 on the list, and it's going to be series 9 from modern Doctor Who, and I know what some of you are thinking, but that has Heaven Sent on it. And yes, Heaven Sent is amazing. I love that episode. Capaldi shows why he is one of the best actors to ever play the Doctor. He is phenomenal in what is pretty much a one-man show. He is phenomenal, and it does a really good job exploring loss and grief and how that affects people. It's well written, it's well acted, it's well shot, it's well directed. It's a phenomenally good episode, one of the best Doctor Who episodes ever made, I think. Then there's the rest of the series. I love the Under the Lake Before the Flood two-parter. That's really good. Moffat understands that the Doctor is a time traveler, and the things you can do with that, possibly better than anyone. Now, sometimes he gets a little too clever with it for his own good, but it's interesting the things he does with that mechanic. And it's utilized really well here. I really do enjoy that two-parter a lot. And then I also like Sleep No More. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but the last time I went and rewatched it, I did find myself appreciating it more than I had before, because I'd only watched it like maybe once or twice before. And going back and watching it now so many years later, I found an appreciation for it, because it does a couple things I like. It does two things I like. They don't mesh perfectly together, but it does two things I like. One, I like the villain of Sleep No More, because Moffat is very good at taking something ordinary and making it frightening, like he did with the Weeping Angels and the Vashta Nerada. In this case, the sleep in your eye. When you wake up, the little bit of dirt and dust that gets in your eye, and turning that into something dangerous, and having a reasonable explanation for why that happens. That's fascinating to me, so I love that. And then the found footage thing works pretty well. It's neat to see Doctor Who try that. I think it pulls it off fairly well. And the idea that the found footage isn't actually cameras, but it's tied in with the other thing, I think that's done pretty neatly. Like I said, it's not a perfect episode. I still don't quite get the ending exactly. But I did enjoy it. So it has two really cool concepts that aren't executed perfectly, but it's still a fun story to go back and revisit once or twice a decade, in my opinion. The rest of the stories from this season are crap. Utter garbage. First off, we have way too many two-parters, starting off with The Magician's Apprentice and The Witch's Familiar, which is the worst Dalek story the show has ever produced that I've seen, and I've seen most of them at this point. I think the only ones I haven't seen are The Chase and Dalek's Master Plan, and I'm willing to bet Dalek's Master Plan is better than this one. It has a couple neat things it does. That intro with the child and the revolution of who the child is, the revelation, I should say, of who the child is a phenomenal way to open a series. Phenomenal way to open an episode and a series. I will give it that. It does that well. And then part one kind of craps out from there. Everything at the beginning with Missy and the frozen plains is stupid. The Doctor riding in on a tank with a guitar is stupid. The snake creature is cool. I like the snake creature. That's a neat little concept. I'll give it that. I really forget what happens a lot in part one. The cliffhanger is good when they're on Skaro. How they're on Skaro, when Skaro was supposed to have been destroyed in Remembrance, I still don't get. That's never been explained to me. But they're on Skaro. Let's just leave it at that. Part 2 had potential. First off, the Doctor riding around in Davros's chair is stupid, because we've established Davros's chair is his life support system. He needs it to live. But it's something you expect to see in a Doctor Who parody, not in the actual show. Like, my mind was just mentally clicking out as soon as I saw it. Anyone for Dodgems? I'm like, dum 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 dum. Yeah, it's stupid. Now, the bit with Missy and Clara There's a couple moments where it's funny. Like when she's telling the story about the doctor getting lost, even though it's a different incarnation than Peter's, but it just shows the flashback of Peter's. It doesn't matter which one, they're all the doctor to me. That was a funny little story. And he got free? No, of course not, he's the doctor. That was kind of funny. The whole bit about her getting in the TARDIS, and the fact they say exterminate to reload. Dum 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 dum. It's stupid. Most of that is stupid. How she tries to trick the doctor into killing Clara in the suit is stupid. How it resolves with the mercy thing, I see what they were trying to do. Doesn't work. We never find out what Nissy means when she's surrounded by the Daleks and goes, I have a really neat idea. What it was, who knows. It had potential to do some really neat things with Davros and the Doctor. They have some really cool scenes here together when they are, maybe not bonding, but when they actually have some real conversations with each other when Davros is dying. There is so many things you could have done with that. I love that scene. When Davros seems, genuinely to be happy for the Doctor that the Doctor saved the Time Lord. You saved your people. That's great. That's what a parent should have. I love that. And then that scene when Davros is like, then we've established only one thing. You are not a very good doctor. And then they share that little laugh over it. I loved that the first time I saw it. That was such a powerful moment. And you could have done so much with that. I think you should have let Davros die right there. Having, realized he was wrong, found some of his conscience, maybe became more of that little boy that he was when he was younger before war scarred and did all of that to him. Because you could have killed Davros off, because they're not going to do it because they always want to bring him back. But you could still have brought him back. One, you could have had Davros cloned. You could have had a clone of Davros come back that had his mind and his knowledge. Or you simply could have met Davros at a younger point in the timeline before the events of this story. There's no reason why you couldn't have had Davros die here. You could have done that. But no, they chickened out. It was all a con and a plan and all part of Davros' plan to rejuvenate himself and the Daleks. And it doesn't work because it also rejuvenates all the sludge Daleks. Dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. It's so stupid. It just ends up being stupid. Even Missy poking his eye, that's what I felt like it was doing to all the fans. Boop! It's the worst Dalek story ever. Then you have the two-parter with Game of Thrones girl in it. And aside from a couple cool moments, it sucks. I like, his speech to her about her imagination is pretty neat. That flashback when he realizes why he has his face. And you see that flashback to Deep Breath and then that flashback to Fires of Pompeii with Tennant. That's a cool scene. I love that flashback scene when he gets his face. I love that scene. It just sucks. It's in a very boring two-parter. There's a lot of that in this season. There are really cool scenes, epic scenes, stuck in the middle of two-parters that didn't need to be two-parters. And I will admit the ending of episode 1 of the Game of Thrones two-parter, when it shows the camera panning around her, when it pans back around to her face, it's that kind of disillusioned, stoic face. That's a cool ending, because as we learned in the Five Doctors, eternal life is a curse. So I liked that cutoff. Of course, the second episode still sucked, and then we have the same thing with the Zygon two-parter. The Zygon two-parter, that its biggest problem is it didn't need to be a two-parter. It has the speech, the great Zygon speech. It's a phenomenal speech, one of the best speeches in all of Doctor Who, and again, why Peter Capaldi is one of the best actors to ever play the role. He nails that speech. That is one of his best moments on the show. And it's stuck in the middle of a plotting two-parter that's stupid and at times doesn't even make sense. It drags. And then you have the season finale with Hell Bent, which is pretty bad. I mean, it has some moments, but it's pretty bad. The guy playing Rassilon really suffers from not being Timothy Dalton. That's what I call him, not Timothy Dalton. He really needed to be Timothy Dalton to lend some gravitas to that. Instead, we get, generic Walmart brand old dude that's not intimidating at all. And plus the story sucks. Plus it has to bring back Clara. Dum 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 dum. And of course, Face the Raven has Clara die, and that's cool, but it still sucks. It does go to show that if the Doctor hadn't saved Game of Thrones girl and gave her eternal life, the events in Face the Raven might not have happened, and Clara might not have died inadvertently. So the Doctor kind of Road to Hell's paved good intentions himself there. Sets himself up for problems in the future. Again, the Doctor has a bad habit of this at times. It is neat to see Clara basically die because she is too arrogant. She tries to be the Doctor and it gets her killed. That's a cool little lesson there, and if she'd stayed dead, I'd have liked that. But I at least like the fact that her playing Doctor is what got her killed. That's pretty cool. But this really is the Clara Who season. There's a lot of this. Very much did the Clara Who thing. I mean, at the end of the series, she's basically immortal like a Time Lord. She has her own TARDIS and her own companion, and Capaldi even says Clara Who at one point. Dum 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 dum. So that's why Series 9 is this low. 3 good episodes, 1 decent episode, and a lot of crap episodes with some decent to good moments. Mostly crap. Mostly crap. Series 9. It's also my least favorite version of Capaldi. Although I do love his speech at the end of Face the Raven when he's talking to Game of Thrones girl. And he's like, the Doctor's not here right now. And the Doctor's not here. You have to deal with me now. That whole speech before he gets beamed into the place where he's at in Heaven Sent. That's a cool speech. So, Series 9, what do you think of it? Do you think it's Capaldi's best season, his weakest season? I'd like to know what you think. Just comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button and the subscribe button. And the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to contribute to what I do. There's a link to that down in the description below. Anyone that joins at any tier level gets a free video request. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Crane, one of my top tier supporters. I appreciate his support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to review, sci-fi related, Doctor Who related, whatever you think I might be interested in or that you want to hear me talk about. That's down there, as is a link to my Amazon wishlist as well. Most importantly though, thank you for watching.